Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly. Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast, and I'm excited tonight. We are headed down to California to talk to Francis, who he and his wife sailed on the Magic on their honeymoon, and pretty excited to find out why you guys picked the honeymoon that you did. So, but before we get into that, welcome to the show, Francis. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Steve. Thank you for having me.
It's awesome to have you on. And I guess just to jump into it tonight, you guys, just talking before the show, you guys are pretty big Disney fans. Why don't you talk a little bit about that before we actually talk about your cruise? How did you guys get into Disney, or what is it that you guys like to do before you started to get into the cruises?
Yeah, so my wife and I are big Disney fans. I think both growing up, our families took us out to Disneyland. Being in California, for us, it's a lot easier to visit Disneyland. So we really started talking to each other and dating as Disney fans. Like, that was the big thing we talked about. And ever since we started dating, every trip was a Disney trip to Disneyland, and we actually got engaged at Disney World.
Really? Where'd you do that at, or how'd that go about?
Yeah, I did it at Be Our Guest. So I knew she was a big Beauty and the Beast fan, and it was kind of funny. I tried to set it up with the restaurant beforehand, but I don't think they really understood what I was trying to do. Uh-huh. And so our server, I asked him right before, I was like, "Can you take a picture? I'm about to do this whole proposal thing." And he looked so surprised. He ended up proposing there, and it was a lot of fun because at Disney World too, a lot of the people that were in the restaurant, they saw us at later points in the trip and just congratulated us. So it was a really cool opportunity to be at a place we love and be engaged there. And then from there, it ended up going on a honeymoon to Disney Cruise Line.
Well, cool. Was she surprised, or was she expecting it when you asked the question?
She was not expecting it. So she's thought like, oh, we'll give it another 1 or 2 years. We lightly talked about it, but that was kind of my goal. Is I really wanted to surprise her. I didn't want it to get to the point where she's bugging me about marrying her.
Well, awesome. What a magical place to do it at in Disney World. And then from there, you guys ended up taking a cruise on the Magic over in the Mediterranean. And before we talk about why you guys picked that cruise, you were talking a little earlier that you had actually been on a cruise earlier. Why don't we talk a little bit about that first?
Yeah, so growing up, as I mentioned, my family was a big Disney family. And in 1999, we went to do a land and sea trip back when that was part of the programs that Disney had. When you go to Disney World, you spend 3 days at Disney World and then the other 3 or 4 days on the cruise. And we did 4 days at Disney World and 3 days on the cruise on the Disney Wonder, which was about a month after it actually had its first sail.
I was just thinking about that because the Magic started in 98. The Wonder was right after that. So, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was right after the start. And to top things off, we went right during Hurricane Floyd.
Oh, no.
So I remember there's a photo of us just wearing these ponchos, and the rain at Epcot was like almost up to the water. It wasn't quite up to, like where it's like soaking your toes, but you can tell like there's definitely some water on the ground that was higher than normal, and that was happening, and that kind of what led to happen on the Disney Cruise Line for us.
Okay, so what happened?
Yeah, so we actually ended up being upgraded to the Walt Disney Suite. Parents, their story, I don't know if to believe them. They said it was a surprise. I think they must have talked to our travel agent. But because there were a lot of people dropping out because of the hurricane and a lot of people not worried about how the trip would be and everything like that, we actually got upgraded to the Walt Disney Suite.
Wow. And that's just amazing. So you guys are on the Wonder about a month or so after she started sailing, and you guys are sailing in the Walt Disney Suite. Some of the first people to actually do that. That's pretty cool. Yeah,
it was pretty amazing. There was even a couple, the gentleman, he said he worked with Walt Disney. He was taking a picture of just the door of our room.
Really?
We're like, are you guys here taking a picture? He's like, oh, I worked with Walt. How did you guys get this suite? And we're like, oh, well, yeah, we just lucked into it.
Oh, man. Do you remember much about it?
Not too much. So I remember kind of how the layout was. When I look at videos now of the Walt Disney Suite, it's definitely the same. It just, when I was that, then I was I don't think I was even 10 yet.
Mm-hmm.
The room just seemed like so much bigger than it probably really is. It just seemed so massive. I seemed like, it was as if you're going to like a mansion. Because
Yeah.
and it was really cool. And it was the first cruise that my brother and I took. My parents have been on cruises before, so for us, we were spoiled right away on cruises. So our idea of cruises, we were worried that would never live up to that one trip we took.
Yeah, it kind of puts it all into perspective. People talk about, the first time they cruise, they might be in an inside cabin, and then eventually they get out and get that balcony cabin, and they can't go back. But boy, if you start at the top like that, you've got nowhere else to go, do you?
Yeah, our parents were worried about spoiling us, so we just took it.
Do you remember?
Pretty well. I think we understood how lucky we were to have that.
Yeah. Do you remember much about the cruise? Was it had the hurricane passed? Was it a nice cruise after that? Do you remember, or was it kind of bumpy still because of the hurricane?
It actually altered our destination. We didn't get to go to Castaway Cay. We actually went to Key West, I believe, and then we still went to the Bahamas. But I think we must have switched days or something like that instead of going to wherever the original plan was. So yeah, we didn't. They had to close down Castaway Cay, and I know people were bummed out about that. But the hurricane passed, I think, a day or two before we actually got on the ship, because I remember they were closing down parks early because the hurricane was supposed to go towards the parks during our last couple of days there.
Mm-hmm. Well, what an amazing experience. So, so there you start off. And that was the first one you took, and then the Mediterranean one we're going to talk about tonight, that was your second cruise, or did you take a cruise with anybody else between times?
No, so we didn't take another cruise, and my wife, she's been on a short cruise to Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing San Diego, and between that, I hadn't gone on a cruise since then.
Okay, was that on a Disney? Was that on the Wonder, or was it on somebody else? Do you know, the one your wife went on?
It was definitely a different cruise. She's never been on Disney.
Okay. Well, there you are. We'll head back to Be Our Guest. You guys get engaged, and then you do the planning. You get married. Was that back in California, or did you guys do it down at Disney World as well?
No, we got married back in California. We decided to save up for the honeymoon instead.
Okay. So you're sitting there, and I remember when my wife and I got married, we're talking about like all the different places and all the different things that we could do. How did you guys, why did you guys gravitate towards going on the Magic in the Mediterranean? What did you guys think about it? What were your thoughts about taking that for your honeymoon?
Yeah, so I've always joked about taking the Disney Cruise Line as a honeymoon, and she always downplayed it because we always thought that was only a Bahamas or Caribbean type of trip. We didn't really think too much about the Europe trip or the Panama Canal or Alaska ones. And then once we started talking about what we should do for our honeymoon, we were thinking about places that we haven't gone before, and places that we aren't sure if we're going to go to until we have children. Because we know we're going to go to Asia. We have family in Asia. We know that we've taken a lot of trips towards Hawaii, and we want to go to Australia ourselves eventually. But then Europe was kind of the main destination that we thought of. Okay.
Had you been to Europe before, or was this your first time?
Neither of us have been to Europe, so it was definitely something that we both had on a bucket list, but then we're like, we need to do it together, and this happened to be the perfect time to do it.
Okay, so there you go. You make your decision. You're going on the Magic to the Mediterranean, and it's kind of amazing actually how many people, if you're a fan like we are of Disney and you follow Disney Cruise Line, you kind of know that all the different destinations that they go to, but it's amazing how many people I talked to, and like the one we just did down in Mexico, and some friends asked, or a coworker asked, is like, well, what'd you guys do? It's like, oh, we just did this quick cruise. And he goes, who'd you go on? We went on Disney. He's like, I didn't even know that they sailed down there. It's just like, I thought all they did was the Caribbean. So
yeah, every time we mentioned to anyone what our plans were, because we really wanted to see a bunch of different cities, but worried about the timing of it. Luckily, the cruise is the perfect thing for it. But every time we mentioned anywhere doing Disney Cruise Line, they're like, oh, you guys are going to the Bahamas? They're like, oh, we're going to Europe. Like, oh, really? That goes there?
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's followed with the not surprised you guys would be taking a Disney honeymoon.
Well, cool. So this one left out of Barcelona, and when did it leave? What time last year did it leave?
It left on September 2nd.
Okay, so kind of the end of the season. Was it just overall, was it hot while you guys were there, or was it kind of starting to cool off a little bit? Do you know?
It was starting to cool off. We were expecting much warmer weather. I think also living in the Bay Area in California, we kind of get the hot temperature, but not as hot as it gets in Sacramento as you get a little more inland. So for us, it felt very similar to being out here in the Bay Area, really, the temperature at that time of year.
Okay. Well, hopefully that was a good thing, because I know like in July and August, it can get really hot through the Mediterranean. So I was kind of curious what your experience would be in September. So it leaves out of Barcelona. How did you guys get to Barcelona?
Yeah, so we took a flight that had a layover in London, and then from London went to Barcelona. And so we actually left the day after our wedding, which was 6 days before the Disney Magic sailed. And we were in Barcelona for 4 or 5 days. I forget what the time change, but we were in Barcelona for a few days, getting to enjoy the city, getting to look around the sites, getting to see La Sagrada Familia, which everyone has to visit. It's a great church, really, to visit.
That's the one that it's kind of, how do I describe it? It's kind of artistic, right? The outside.
Artistic. It's unfinished.
Okay.
It's still trying to finish it. Apparently, it's going to take until, I believe, 2026. It's supposed to be like 100-year build out to finish it. So, yeah, we're lucky to see it while it's being built. Yeah.
Anything else that you guys did when you were in Barcelona for the couple of days? Just kind of explored the city?
Yeah, we had a lot of paella. It seemed like every night we were eating paella, which is a seafood dish with rice. And then we went and saw a lot of the different kind of big touristy things, because for us visiting Barcelona for the first time, we knew we had to do that. So we went to FC Barcelona Stadium, Camp Nou. We went to another park known for its artistry by actually the same artist that did Sagrada Familia, Park Güell. And then we really just tried to relax. With it being right after our wedding, we had no time to really relax until we got in Barcelona.
Yeah, it's kind of chaos. I mean, I remember, and I'm sure everybody, the rest of our listeners who are married, when they kind of think back on it, that wedding day is kind of a blur. So
yeah, we definitely had to find some time to read emails from our friends, congratulating us whenever we could find Wi-Fi.
Well, let me ask you this then. Was this the first time you've been overseas, or had you been to Asia before too?
I haven't. So this is the first time I've been overseas. My wife, this wasn't her first time. She goes pretty often. So for me, it was a different, definitely a little bit shock to not be always able to use my phone. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, since she's got the experience of traveling and this is new to you, I know a lot of people are kind of intimidated when it comes to thinking about maybe booking a cruise out of Europe just because of those factors. Did you find it hard to adjust when you got into Barcelona and Spain, or was it kind of easy to go with the flow, or did you feel intimidated at all, I guess, as far as flying in there?
I think at first I definitely felt intimidated, not really knowing what to expect. But once we got there, it was really easy. There was, every restaurant you visit, they have signs that say we have Wi-Fi. So if you really wanted to get on your phone, you could. But it was also a good time just to take a break from using your phones. Get a break from being connected, I guess, in a lot of ways.
Right. And I'm kind of thinking, as far as, going on your honeymoon right afterwards, getting on a cruise for 7 days like this is actually kind of a cool way to get disconnected away from everything. Because if you just went to Hawaii or someplace like that, you're definitely going to have that temptation to be online maybe and kind of messing around, where when you're on the ship, that's really hard to do.
Exactly.
So, okay, well, cool. So you guys get to Barcelona, and do you remember where this cruise, the different ports it went to?
Yeah, so the first port day was Naples. Second one was Civitavecchia. Third one was Livorno, and the fourth one was Cannes. Our cruise director called it 3 different names and said they were all correct, so I never know what to really call it.
Okay, so we're going there in a couple of weeks. So Cannes, Cannes, and what the third one is? Do you remember?
Cannes, Canes.
Canes.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we never know what to really say. We really call it still.
Okay. Well, what did you guys think? Okay, being big Disney fans, now you'd been on The Wonder before, but it had been a while. What were your guys' first impressions when you walked on that ship and saw that lobby?
Oh, we were captivated. It was beautiful to walk into. we both kind of stopped and watched everyone else come in because it was so much excitement of us going on. We want to see the excitement of other people's faces as they came on the ship and just look around and just try to kind of collect ourselves because we knew this was going to be basically our home for 7 days. So we were just like, all right, so we're going to be here. It's going to be us. And we were just really excited. And we were actually really hungry. It took a while to get from the hotel over to the ship and then get all checked in, which it wasn't a long process, but we didn't eat before we went to the ship. So we were definitely hungry.
Okay. So did you do very much planning ahead of time? Did you read any books or look on stuff online to learn a little bit about the ship and what to expect? Or did you guys just go into it cold?
Yeah, I did as much research as I could, but my wife didn't want to do any. She wanted to be more the surprised person. So I had an idea of what to expect, and I had some recollection of when I went when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she had no idea of anything. And so for me to watch her, it was actually a lot of fun.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
So did you guys go to Cabanas first, or what did you guys do for food then since you were starving?
Yeah, we did Cabanas. We weren't really we were torn on what to do, whether to do sit down or do Cabanas first, but Cabanas really seems easy for us to try a lot different of the food the ship has.
Mm-hmm.
So we definitely started with that.
Okay, and we'll hold off on the food for just a second. What kind of cabin did you guys book, and where did you guys stay?
Yeah, so we booked a veranda around midship. So we weren't sure because we both haven't gone on cruises in a while.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't sure how we'd be affected of seasickness and all those things. So we figured it'd be best to get a veranda. So we want to splurge. It is our honeymoon,
right?
So we did veranda, and then we did midship because we weren't sure how the aft could affect us, if we get seasickness.
And I'm guessing with the Mediterranean, it was pretty smooth most of the cruise.
It was absolutely. We were expecting it to be a little rocky at some points, and people were laughing at us when we were on the cruise. Like, guys, this isn't the cruise where it gets rocky. You're not in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah, it's pretty much like glass from what I really remember. Being up there. And when we did the Baltic one, it was the same thing too. In the winter, I guess it gets pretty choppy up in the Baltic, but nobody's cruising up there at that time. But yeah, so kind of so no problems with the seasickness then. And what'd you think of the cabin?
It was nice. Like I said, when I first went on a cruise, it was a much bigger room, but I thought it was perfect for us. This side, it's not too small. There's definitely enough space to move around, and my wife doesn't really remember the room that she stayed in her cruise, so she was really happy with it. And that, for me, that's all I needed to know is she didn't think it was too small.
Yeah, happy wife. There's that old saying, happy wife, happy life. So there you go.
And I can definitely see how a family of 4 fits in a cabin. It's definitely not too small.
Yeah, I think we've got our 2 kids, and we've stayed in the 2 sizes with the veranda, the larger one and the smaller one. And I mean, you can tell a little bit of difference that the one's a little bit smaller, but it's definitely easy for 4 people to be in there. So, Did you guys use the veranda a lot, or were you guys out exploring the ship most of the time, or did you spend a lot of time in your room and hang out on the veranda?
Yeah, so every time we had some free time where maybe someone was getting ready or just wanted to rest, one of us was always on the veranda. So we thought it was a good use for us. We definitely got enough usage out of it, and just with how beautiful the Mediterranean was, it was nice just to really just stare at the water, watch it glisten, the sun glisten off the water. And because you're somewhere near land, a lot of times it's cool to kind of look in the distance and see what we can see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just an amazing cruise. Well, awesome. Anything else about the cabin that you wanted to talk about, Francis?
Not really. I mean, one of the cool things that we did, I guess I did beforehand, was I purchased the Touch of Romance package.
Oh, yeah.
That came with 2 bathrobes and got a bottle of Prosecco and chocolates, which I don't think we even eaten the chocolates yet. I think we still have them. But it was really cool to get the bathrobes because, for one, we're a little on the shorter side. So for us, it fits perfectly. But I can definitely see if you're 6 foot tall or taller, it may be on the short side.
Okay. But
it was definitely worth the money for us.
Perfect. And that's something that you can do ahead of time, right? So you booked it before you left on the cruise, right?
Yeah, I called maybe 6 weeks before and ordered it. It was really easy to get it. And it was kind of funny because when we got in the room, we tried to go to the room as soon as they opened the rooms. They were setting up the package in our room. So I felt kind of bad that we were like trying to get there as soon as the rooms opened because we were the last room because we had the extra gift.
Okay. So
door was open and we're like, oh, this is our room, and he's like, oh, sorry, and like he ran out.
He didn't want to ruin the surprise for you, did he?
Yeah, I felt bad. Like she realized after she opened, but she didn't know why until she saw it.
Okay. Well, cool. Well, that's kind of a special keepsake too that you guys have at home now that can kind of remind you of your holiday or your cruise as well. So
yeah, and they're nice robes too. They're definitely the more plush ones rather than the, I guess, more fabric-y ones you can see out there.
Right. Well, cool. Well, let's talk about, I guess, the food then too. So you guys went to Cabanas right away. What was your overall experience with the food on the cruise? Were you pretty? Was it pretty good, or what did you think?
Yeah, we really liked the food on the cruise. It really was a different mix of different foods. A lot of it tended to be more towards Mediterranean, French, or Italian foods, and we thought that fit the cruise perfectly.
Well, that's kind of cool to know. I know that they do that when the ships go to the different regions. Like when we started in Norway, it started off in England, so they had some kind of British type foods. And when we got up to Norway, they added a lot more fish on the menu, like they eat up in Norway. So that's kind of cool to hear that they do that in the Mediterranean as well. So Cabanas, did you guys eat there for breakfast usually, or did you do room service at all?
Yeah. So with the Mediterranean, every day if you have a excursion, it's usually really early in the morning, and so we used room service as our logbook as well to make sure we got up. So we ordered room service every morning.
Okay.
To make sure that we got up in time for our excursions. So I'm pretty sure they knew that like go to our room in the morning, especially since we ordered that before. Yeah.
Well, cool. So how about the different restaurants? You had Triton's, or no, not Triton's, Lumiere's. And Animator's Palette, and then at the time, I believe, was it Carioca's that was on board?
Yeah. So Carioca's at the time. So we did, our order was Animator's, Carioca's, and Lumiere's.
Okay, and did anything stand out between those three restaurants, or which one did you enjoy them? I shouldn't ask you that, which one you enjoyed the most, but what were some of your special moments in those three different restaurants?
Yeah, Animator's Palette actually probably the one that us, and because there's basically a show going on on 2 of the 3 nights, and so for us that was our favorite one. And the food is kind of hard to remember what exactly we got, but I just remember enjoying the food every night. I don't think there was one time with our meals that we weren't happy. And then we went to Palo the first sea day, so the second night of the trip, and that was delicious. That was really good. Yeah,
it's amazing. Yeah, it's hard to remember because it all kind of runs together, like you said, as far as like what you ate. But what an amazing experience! Did you get to sit by the window up there as you guys were leaving a port? No, that was a sea day. So as you're going along.
Yeah, it was. We were by a window, but it was pretty late.
Okay.
So we couldn't see. The sun was already down by the time we had our dinner at Palo, so there wasn't really a view for us to look at.
Okay, but still, just amazing food, amazing. Servers up there. How was your wait staff? Did you have a lot of fun with them? Or you know what? Let's go back. Did you guys have a table by yourself, or did they put you with somebody else? Not in Palo, but in the main restaurants.
Yeah, so we requested to sit by ourselves because we weren't really sure, if we'd be happy sitting next to other people. But we actually did get placed with 2 other couples.
Okay.
Another couple celebrating their honeymoon, and then one other couple that they've been married for maybe a year or so, and it was their second or third Disney cruise, but it was really cool because they were from the UK.
Oh wow!
And they've been to the cruises in the US, and so for this, it was more fun for them to do a Mediterranean cruise and closer for them. But we were really happy. We had a great time with our table mates. We, kind of being in the same age range and kind of situation as those other couples. It was a lot of fun.
Okay. And did you see him around the ship? Did you get to talk to him around the ship a little bit too, or was it more just kind of coming back in the evenings and talking about what you guys did?
Yeah, we saw them every night at Fathoms afterwards because we were adults without kids to worry about. We spent all of our nights at Fathoms, but it was funny. We were looking back on video, and our table mates from the UK were actually in our video at the sail away party, like right next to us. We had no idea because we hadn't had dinner with them yet that they were going to be our table mates. So it was just kind of funny to know that we were next to them for the start of our trip.
That's amazing. Well, cool. Yeah, I think they do a really good job of when they put you together with different people at the tables, of kind of bringing people that are kind of in similar circumstances. So like you said, another couple is celebrating their honeymoon, and then somebody just within a year or so. So
Great.
yeah, gives you something to talk about. And then just being on that cruise and being excited about it and being Disney fans, that kind of really adds to the whole thing.
Yeah, it would kind of suck that we didn't know that we were going to be with each other beforehand, because we would have probably tried to book the same excursions if we knew ahead of time. So
right.
Because there were people we were really happy to be with and on the cruise.
Well, cool. That's a great experience. Well, let's talk about some of the entertainment. What did you guys do entertainment-wise on the ship, since you guys don't have kids yet? What did you guys do? What did you guys get out and about and do?
Yeah, so we played. So something that families can do, but we ended up doing ourselves a lot, was bingo.
Uh-huh.
We played bingo I think we only missed one session.
Wow. Did you win?
We won a couple times.
Okay.
And then my wife, being a big Beyonce fan, they have the whole the Beyonce thing when B11's called. So I always chant that now. Whenever Beyonce comes on the radio or anything like that, I chant the Beyonce song that they did on the ship. So we did bingo a lot. But there were a lot of families doing it because the kids do get to participate, which is cool. We did one mixology course, which was a lot of fun. It was only $20, and I guess on the Magic and the Wonder, you are making your own drinks. Where if you're on the Disney and the Dream and the Fantasy, it's more of one person making it for a group of people, or at least that's how it was described to us. So I could be wrong, but it was a lot of fun because you get 5 drinks really for your price of $20. You're in a room with people just pretty much drinking, and the mixologist was even joking it's the place to go if you're trying to get drunk on a Disney cruise. So it was a lot of fun.
How did your drinks turn out? Pretty good?
It turned out pretty good, yeah. I mean, a lot of it's mostly pre-mixed. You just have to do a little tweaks here or there.
Uh-huh.
One of the drinks that I remember most from that, it was the Irish Mojito, which apparently the bartender that was teaching our class, she's known for bringing it to the different Disney ships. So I don't think it's even served on all of them. I think there's only a couple of Disney ships right now. And then if a bartender switched over to another ship, they know that drink.
Oh, wow. So
if you ask for the Irish Mojito, you could get it, or you also could be I don't know what that is. No, I was saying it was really good. It was like an apple juice mojito, so I really liked it.
It sounds amazing. Have you tried to make one at home, I guess?
We tried and didn't get the same effect. I also think not being on the Disney Cruise Line played no effect of that too.
Yeah, a little bit of that pixie dust or something like that in the drinks there. So I've actually never done one of the mixologist or wine tasting things, so it sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Okay, what about the shows? Did you guys see any of the shows while you're on board?
Yeah, so we did all the theatrical shows. I think it was Tangled. Can't remember the name, but the one from the last night.
Yeah, that's okay. Disney Dreams and probably the Golden Mickeys and some of the other ones that they run. Yeah,
so we did those. Anytime there were the guest performers, we actually didn't watch them on their big show, but they would come to Fathoms usually the day after to do a smaller show for adults, and so that's where we'd watch them, is at Fathoms rather than the bigger show at the Walt Disney Theater.
And how were they?
They were great. They were very funny. You could tell that they changed their material a little bit for adults. A few more swear words here or there.
A little bit more edgier.
A little edgier, exactly.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. And we did feel like we didn't miss out watching them in the bigger show. And for us, that gave us time because there's so much to do in the Mediterranean in terms of excursions that you're tired every day. You come back from excursion, so it allowed us to get some rest time. And then when it's 10 p.m. and Fathoms opens, that's the time we can enjoy them a little bit more.
Yeah. No, that sounds perfect. Yeah. So did you guys do the match your couple date or match your mate game by any chance?
Yeah, we tried. We got on stage, but we didn't have a really good fact about us.
Oh.
So kicked off pretty early. But the couples watching them is really funny.
Yeah.
They had some pretty good stories, some awkward couples, which made for really funny moments for the audience.
Yeah, I think that's a hilarious show. We didn't go and see that the first couple cruises we went on, but the last two, we've made a point of going to watch it. And there's definitely some fun things that come out. They do one with couples, and then they also do kind of the same thing with adults and kids. So it's kind of so there's a kid version of it that's Know Your Parents, and that one can be pretty funny too. So
yeah, we'll definitely check that out because we thought Match Your Mate was hilarious, and if we knew there was one with kids even, we'd probably watch that too.
Yeah, there's the first, you guys did a lot of stuff, I guess, now that I'm thinking about it, because like the first cruise that we went on, you're kind of overwhelmed with all the different things that there are to do, and you're kind of tired after excursions and everything like that. So that's great that you guys got out and got to see so many different things.
Yeah, it was. We definitely wanted to use all of our time, knowing that we weren't sure if we'd miss out on anything, if we'd ever see it again, especially if we weren't sure what's different from the Mediterranean.
Uh-huh.
So we're like, we got to do everything because we don't know if we'll see this again if we go on the cruises in the U.S.
Right. Well, let's turn and talk about some of your port excursions then. So the first stop was in Naples, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you remember what you guys did there?
Yeah, so we did the Amalfi Coast Drive and Pompeii excursion. So what was really cool is I know my wife and I have always wanted to see the Amalfi Coast, and we got to drive through it a little bit on like a big tour bus. So it's kind of scary at some moments because it's so windy. You're driving right on the edge of the coast, and it was a lot of fun. And we even got to stop in the town of Amalfi for an hour, and we got to eat actually at. So in a lot of these excursions, you get a lunch included.
Okay.
We didn't know was that, and the ones we did at least, we ended up eating at a hotel, which the food wasn't that great because it really just tastes like the same Italian food that you eat out here in the States.
Oh no.
It didn't taste special. So it's like, great, that's great that we get a lunch included, but it wasn't anything special really. So that was kind of a letdown, but itself when going on the drive on the Amalfi Coast and then Pompeii was just amazing to be out for a few hours.
Did you do any like research into Pompeii at all as to what to expect or what you wanted to see? And I'm guessing since it's a tour, they kind of walk you through it and kind of give you some history of it.
Yeah, so they walked us through the whole thing. We didn't have much free time. I think the only free time they gave us was in an area where there was a lot of things to look at. So he said, hey, for 15 minutes, go ahead and look at all the different things. So we didn't really go off the trail really. We stuck around with our tour guide who you get an earpiece so you can hear everything they're saying, but you can't be too far away from them because you can't really hear you can't lose signal on your earpiece. So you definitely have to stick around them. So we didn't get too much time on our own because we did book Disney excursions throughout the trip.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't stray away from Disney because we were worried of the stories of where you can get left behind. Not a Disney excursion. So we stuck just with Disney excursions. And I kind of wish we did more at Pompeii. I think that's definitely something I want to go back to in the future because I feel like we maybe saw half or even a quarter of what we could have seen. But I thought for part of the trip, for going to Amalfi Coast and doing Pompeii, we did a lot.
Yeah, and I kind of get the sense, just looking at these cruises, it's a great overview of places, and then it kind of gives you it kind of whets your appetite of what you want to go back and do again.
Exactly. And that's how we saw it. Is it gave us a good taste of a lot of things. And for us, Amalfi Coast, we'd love to stay on it someday, but we don't need to do the drive again.
Right.
As we're going through it, you kind of get sleepy because you're driving around for a couple hours. So we definitely know that's a hotel we might want to stay at as we drove by, but we don't need to do the whole thing again, which is nice. But then something like Pompeii is we need to go back there again in the future. So I really liked the fact that Disney allows you to do that with the cruise line is you get a taste of it, and then if you want to go back, you'll make a note of it and go back in the future.
Perfect. Well, what an amazing day in Naples. And from there you go to Civitavecchia. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. I have a hard time saying it, but that's Rome, right?
It took me until the whole day of going there to finally get it down. Civitavecchia.
Civitavecchia, that's right. Okay, yeah.
That's your port to Rome. So it's about an hour and a half. The port itself is an hour and a half away from Rome. So that day we had to get up, I want to say it was 6 or 6:30, which is early for us because in Barcelona, a lot of the meals you eat are late, so you tend to wake up a little later.
Mm-hmm. So
when we got there, man, doing room service helped us out so much to make sure to get up because you have to open the door.
Yeah.
So we had to be out of bed.
Yeah, you can't hit the snooze button with room service. They're going to keep knocking, aren't they?
Exactly.
So what'd you guys do in Rome? Did you guys do the full day in Rome tour then?
Yeah, we did the Best of Rome excursion. So you see the Trevi Fountain, the Colosseum. Again, you have lunch and hotel again, which I still wish Disney found a way to find a more mom and pop type of restaurant to go to rather than the hotel meals.
Mm-hmm.
We did that again, and then we ended it with the Vatican and going to St. Peter's Basilica.
How many people, like, was this like one big bus? And then once you got into Rome, did the bus drive you around, or how did you guys get around Rome?
Yeah, so the bus drives you around. It is a big bus of maybe 40 people, maybe a little less, but it wasn't too much. But when you go around, you get the sticker that says your excursion number, and as you're walking around the city, you see people with Disney excursion stickers around as well. So it's kind of funny, and just know Disney. And then there was another cruise line, I can't remember off the top of my head which one it was, but they were also in the same cities as we were, pretty much on the same route. So just seeing their guests as well, it was just funny knowing that we're all going to the same exact places the whole time.
So your day in Rome, did anything stand out that you'd want to go back and see again, or what kind of amazed you?
Yeah, I mean, everything stood out to us. It is really hard. I can definitely see why people stay in Rome for multiple days. I think the Colosseum, I think that's one of the few places where we felt like we got enough time to really soak it in.
Mm-hmm.
The Trevi Fountain, we were there only for 30 minutes, maybe not even 30 minutes. So we definitely, even though it is a smaller attraction, it's really just one thing to look at. We could have spent more time there as well. And then the Vatican itself is massive. So you go through the museums as part of the excursion. And I'm the type of person who really when you go to a museum, I really like to look at everything. And I felt like I didn't have enough time to like read the captions of everything and actually understand where each thing is coming from. Mm-hmm. So we definitely go back there.
Okay. But you get to see the Sistine Chapel? And Yeah. Wow. How is that big? Or I like, in my mind, I think it's like this gigantic, huge place, but sometimes, things aren't as big as you think they are. Or what was that like?
It was pretty big. Yeah. It's it's a room with a bunch of people that you're not allowed to take your camera out in. So it's almost like you feel like a sardine almost. It's packed in a can. It's definitely worth the time. You get, I think, 15 minutes. I think I want to say they limit you how long you're in the room for. Okay. Because they are taking photos. So I think 10 to 15 minutes of just looking at the artwork, and it was really amazing. Just Michelangelo was there painting that and was actually up towards the wall painting it. It was crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, what a great day in Rome. So from Rome, you guys move on to Livorno, which is Florence, correct?
Yeah, so that's Florence and Pisa. So this was really fun for us because it was the only day where a lunch wasn't included.
Oh, so you get to venture out.
Yeah, so we actually changed our excursion to do this excursion because originally we only had Pisa scheduled, and because we were worried about exhaustion over 2 long days. But when we were in Barcelona, I want to say it was maybe the Wednesday before the Saturday cruise, we were like, we might as well just do Florence while we're at it because all of our friends kept telling us to go there. So we switched over to that one, and unfortunately we're out of adults only, so we ended up finding out that it ended up being everyone was families. It was us and a bunch of families, so there's a lot of little kids and with us, which didn't really hinder us, but it would have been nice to be with a lot of adults who are probably going to ask the similar questions for us. But Florence was definitely a city we want to stay in the future. It was probably the most beautiful city we went to. In Rome, there was it felt like there was more tourists in Rome, where Florence seemed like a place that you kind of want to be in for a long time.
Like more locals and not feeling that touristy rush of like a London or something like that.
Absolutely. And then we ended up eating at a restaurant where I want to say had the best lasagna I've ever had. And I was so happy that we got to eat at a restaurant of our choice.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if well, I'm not going to wonder. I won't even get down that tangent. Did you guys just pick it off the street, or did you ask for reference, or did you just kind of stumble upon it?
Yeah, so our tour guide referenced it for us. He said, "Oh, this is a good place to eat," and you kind of were like, "Oh, maybe they're being paid by them to say that," but it was really good. And something to note with all of our tour guides is they're actually tour guides from the area, so it's not like it's a Disney tour guide going from the ship out to there. It's tour guides that this is their job, is to be a tour guide in those cities. So we definitely used their suggestion. It was definitely worth it. A lot of people who were part of our group went to the same restaurant, all had great reviews about it.
That's awesome. What else did you guys get to see in Florence while you were there?
So we walked around. We saw Il Duomo. We went to, I forget the name of a bridge, but it was a bridge where there's a market on. It's really known for the jewelry sold on the market. Mm-hmm. So we went to there. We saw the copy of the Statue of David, so not the real thing.
Okay.
You do the Florence and Pisa excursion, you don't have the time to go in the museum to see the real thing, but the copy is pretty cool still to see. And one thing that we noticed, and a lot of people talk about too when you're researching, is about gypsies. And what was our tour guide would note, or that there's gypsies here who are maybe trying to steal your wallet or something like that beforehand, as they would kind of talk to other tour guides over their walkie-talkies and their phones beforehand.
So I've heard that tip, like in Rome, is to wear like one of those travel belts where you don't have a wallet. Did you guys do anything like that, or did you just carry your wallet?
I wore a travel belt and kept all of our necessities in the travel belt. It didn't seem like, in hindsight, it didn't seem like we needed it. But then again, maybe if we used our wallets, we may have gotten it taken. So it's better to stay safe than anything. But we saw a time where someone looked like they were trying to trick someone by getting in their face and showing them a magic trick.
Uh-huh.
And it definitely seemed like that could have been the type of person that would try to steal a wallet at the same time. But luckily, the guy kind of didn't push him away, but kind of like walked away from him as soon as he came up to him, trying to show him the trick. Something to be aware of in Europe.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and then you guys went on to the Tower of Pisa. What did you think of that?
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. You get only an hour there, but Pisa is really small. So we spent almost the whole time trying to take pictures that we thought would look really cool to show our family. With the tower leaning and doing different poses.
Trying to hold it up and things like that.
Exactly, trying to hold it up, trying to do our fingers, the one thing holding it up and things like that. And it's funny because there's this whole row of people just taking pictures, and you just try to find your spot and take your time to take a picture. And we think for us, an hour for Pisa was enough, but we did kind of wish we took the tour to go up it and the tour to go up the towers nearby. So there's a church nearby, you can go up it as well and get another view of the Leaning Tower. But we unfortunately didn't take that tour.
Yeah, I think that full day in Florence and then to Pisa, you just don't have the time, do you?
Absolutely not. And on every single one of our excursions, everyone was napping on the way back. So you try to stay up because you want to see what the scenery is like, but you just cannot stay up. You just knock out as soon as you get back on the bus ride back to the ship.
We get a kitchen naps for your full nights of entertainment too. So right?
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't even ask you. Did you guys have the early or the later seating for dinners?
Yeah, so we did late dining. We were worried about missing meals or being late to our meals with excursions, especially since we were doing full day ones. But it seemed like from the families that we went to the excursion, but they were able to get on their dinings. Even if they're a little late, the servers kind of are expecting that. And then the shows, they even would push back a little bit if you're late dining, so you can catch the shows at a decent time, and then you still have time to get ready and change for the shows, and then go to late dining afterwards. And for us, late dining worked out because, like I mentioned, in Barcelona, everyone eats later. So we were eating dinner at 9 p.m. in Barcelona. So I think it was 8:30 was when late dining started. So for us, it was a perfect time to have dinner.
Yeah, those are all some really good points and some good suggestions.
Yeah, a lot less kids at late dining, which I definitely understand why.
Yeah, and I think if you let your servers know, they appreciate that. Like we let them know, hey, we're not going to be here tomorrow night because we're going to Palo, or like you said, hey, we've got a long excursion tomorrow. We might be a little bit late. That helps them plan the next day, and they do pick up on that kind of stuff. So those are all good points. Yeah, there was one day when there was a table near us that didn't show up, and they looked kind of confused, like, oh, I wonder where they're at. And the family the next day was like apologizing to them, but the servers kept running like it was a normal day. They expect that. They're not used to things like that, where people may decide last minute, hey, we're too tired, we're just gonna order room service or just go to the buffet instead. Yeah, especially on these long Mediterranean cruises. So then, I forget when your sea day was. What did you have a sea day in between these ports? So the first day was a sea day. The first full day, and then the last full day were sea days. But in between, you have 4 straight days of ports. Okay, so yeah, that's bam, bam, bam. So your last port day is Cannes. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Or however you say it. So, what did you guys think of Cannes, or what did you guys do there? Yeah, so that was the only port where we didn't have an excursion, and we did that almost on purpose, knowing that we were going to be so tired, and knowing there's a lot to see in the city where we can just walk through the city. Mm-hmm. And it is a tender port. So for us, we used the day to actually have lunch on the ship, which we didn't have sit down lunch any of the days before. So we got to enjoy that. And then I think if you leave the ship before a certain time, I want to say it was 11 a.m. or noon, you have to take a ticket
and then you sit in the theater and they call your ticket number to take the tender to Cannes. By the time we were leaving the ship, which must have been 1 or 2, we just got straight onto the tender to go into the city.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't do anything. We actually used the day to book a hotel for our layover in London for the night after we got off the ship, because we had a night layover in London before we flew back into the Bay Area. So we went to a coffee shop and just sat there for 30 minutes trying to decide where we wanted to stay for a night.
Actually, that's in some ways that's sort of cool too. I mean, yeah, there's like another full day where you could pack a lot of things in, but sometimes it's nice just to go and hang out at a local place like that, I would think, and just kind of take in the scenery a little bit as you're, figuring out what hotel you want to stay in, and just, maybe slow down a little bit and just kind of get the vibe of the place.
Yeah, and it was a perfect place to do it because you didn't have to drive anywhere really to see the city you're in. The port is the city.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, just to walk around Cannes afterwards, it was really nice to see where the film festival is. There's a lot of shops to go to. There's a lot of high-end shops that we were kind of excited to see because we don't really know if we were saving money, but it seems like you're saving money if you buy it there. Check it out. Just do some window shopping out there. And it was really fun just to have that relaxing day. And we noticed a lot of the cruise staff were getting off the ship as well at the time we got off. So we got to see them kind of dress down and be more casual.
Kind of be themselves a little bit.
Yeah.
Is it when you're walking through like the downtown area, is it kind of a port in the sense that there's like ships and everything like that right near downtown? Does that make sense what I'm asking?
Yeah, not really.
Okay.
It's mostly in the distance because it is a tender stop that it really is. There's beaches and things like that, but people were just, it really felt similar to walking to a place I've been to recently, kind of like Cabo San Lucas in a way.
Okay.
Where you don't, you can kind of stick within the town and not realize, there's a bunch of people coming from the boats out there. It was a really nice town to visit. I really liked going there and using it as a relaxing day rather than doing an excursion that may have taken us 4 or 5 hours to go through. And then after that, we actually got to enjoy the ship because none of the days before that, we really had time to enjoy the pool or the aquadunk.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what did you think of the aquadunk?
Yeah, the first time you go on it is the scariest thing. I stuck my arms out trying to catch myself, the glass bottom out, but it was a lot of fun, and I probably went on it 3 or 4 times after the first time I went. It was like me and a bunch of little kids just enjoying it, but it was a lot of fun. Try that out, and just being in the adult pool too was nice because it was a little relaxing. It was a little less loud, so it was more quiet as well.
Oh, wow. And so then you finish up with your final sea day. Anything stand out from that as far as things that you might have done?
We really tried to enjoy it, knowing it was our last real day on the cruise. And I know one thing that we did was use I definitely won the aquadunk maybe 5 or 6 more times. And I think there was one last bingo that we played where if you went to so many bingos, you can win the big prize. No one won the big prize, but they keep saying someone's going to eventually win it. I think there was a family there that won the big prize on a different ship.
Really?
So, the cruise staff knew that family from previous cruises. It was pretty funny. And it was a lot of fun just to do that. And then at night, after we had dinner, we just spent the time walking around the ship, knowing it's really the last time we get to see it all. And it was a lot of fun just to walk around. And they were actually cleaning parts of the ship and knowing that they're going to close it off for the next day, but it was a lot of fun.
Wow. Well, it just sounds like an amazing cruise that you guys had. And what a special 7 days to kind of hang out together, kind of disconnect from everything after getting married. So is this something you think you guys will do again?
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely want to go on another Disney Cruise Line. We actually booked a placeholder. So we definitely want to go in the future. We don't know when that'll be. We think because you do have the 2-year deadline with the placeholder, we'll probably end up doing a cruise out of California to one of the Mexico cruises.
Mm-hmm.
But we definitely want to go on something like the Panama Canal cruise or Alaska cruise in the future, and definitely find a way to go to Castaway Cay because that's something that I didn't get experience the first time I went, and want to see that island eventually.
I've only been there once, and it's a magical place. It's an amazing place. So, but we just did the Wonder down to Ensenada on the 3-day out of San Diego, and just had a blast on that too. So, if that fits better in your schedule, I can't speak highly enough of the 3 days we spent there. And I know they do 4 and 5 day trips as well if you want to go a little bit longer.
Yeah, we definitely have to do it. And for you guys, was it 2 sea days or was it 1 sea day?
So it's you leave the first day, the next day you're in Ensenada, then sea day, then you're off. So it's a quick trip, you know. After you go on 7, it seems like it's going to go really quick. But that'll be the next episode we get out is the one that we went. But kind of like what you guys did, you spent 3 days in Barcelona. We spent the night in San Diego, just my wife and I, and so it really felt like a 4-day vacation. So it was a good little getaway.
Yeah, absolutely. And anytime you can spend Disney Cruise Line is worth it, I think.
Definitely. Well, as we close up tonight, Francis, is there anything else that we haven't covered that you wanted to talk about? Maybe some tips or anything that you can share with some first-time cruisers or first-time going over to Europe for the first time?
You can do as much research as you can, but really there's going to be surprises all around the corner. It was such an amazing cruise, and I would definitely recommend the Mediterranean cruise for someone who hasn't been to Europe before and wants to see parts of Europe, but doesn't know what exact cities they want to go to. And the sea, like just watching the water, and the sun glistening over the water was just amazing. And we had such a great time on that cruise. And there's not enough words I can say to recommend it and review it for everyone.
Well, no, you've set it up perfectly, and it just makes me want to get on a plane and go today. So, well, thank you so much for coming on, Francis. And when you guys book that next cruise, definitely drop me a line, and we'll find all about your guys' next adventure on Disney Cruise Line.
We'll do. Yeah, thanks so much, Steve. It was a lot of fun talking about the cruise, and we definitely can't wait for our next trip on Disney Cruise Line. Perfect, and we'll look forward to hearing about it when you get back. So once again, thanks for coming on tonight, Francis, and we'll talk to you next time. All right, thanks. Have a good night. You too. Well, that is going to wrap up our show tonight. I really want to thank Francis for coming on and sharing his and his wife's experience as they honeymooned through the Mediterranean on Disney Magic last year. And we've been on a little bit of a hiatus, so it's good to be back. Christy and her family are back from Alaska, and our family just got back from our Mediterranean cruise this year on the Disney Magic. And look for those shows here in the next couple of weeks as we kind of cover our experiences. And I'm really excited to bring those to you. We've got a lot of other fun shows that are going to be coming at you throughout the rest of the summer. So appreciate you always coming back and taking a listen. If you know anybody else who would love or get some value out of our show, we'd love it if you'd share it with them. It helps us grow within the cruising and the Disney community. And if you are heading out on your next vacation between now and our next show, all of us here at the DCL Podcast would like to wish you fair winds and safe travels as you head out on your next adventure. Once again, thanks for coming back and taking a listen, and we'll see you next time on the DCL Podcast.